tested his mercy there in Padma river, which is still in Bangladesh. And there, of course, Narottam Das Thakur belongs to a very royal family. He is also known as Sri Thakur Mahashaya. He's so empowered that he can even transform demons just by casting his vision on them. So Narottam Das Thakur had all the bodily features of a very exalted devotee. He had very long arms, he had a very deep navel, his eyes were like lotus petals. So all these were signs that he's a close associate of the Supreme Lord. So once when he was taking his usual bath near the Ganges, he saw two of the very, we can say, demoniac person, and it is described that these two were even more demoniac than, remind me, Jagai and Madhai. They were so notorious that they were like, people will run away when they will even like walk through the streets. But because Vaishnavas are extremely merciful, they even want to give that mercy to the lowest of the low. So these two demons, they were walking by the Ganges, and Narottam Das Thakur just had a chance to look at them. Just by the vision, he had the desire, let them become devotees. And that contact, of course, we can say this is not sadhana siddhi, but it could be a case of kripa siddhi, that just by his vision, these two personalities who were, of course, they were born as in Brahmana family, but they were actually contaminated, polluted, and they were as good as demons. Their hearts transformed, and they actually went on to become his disciple. So anyways, Narottam Das Thakur has written so many songs. Even this song, we every day sing Guru Vandana, that is written by Narottam Das Thakur. So like that, he has given so many literature, Vaishnava songs. It's just a treasure which he has left behind for all of us to take benefit. And we all know he was the only Diksha disciple of Loknath Goswami, nobody else. Loknath said he will not give Diksha to anybody else. But when he saw the qualities of Narottam Das Thakur, he got so impressed by him. And when he requested, he gave him the Diksha. He was the only sole Diksha disciple of Loknath Goswami. And of course, he took Siksha from Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī, and he was one of the first book distributors of our society, when he himself, Srinivasa Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit, took the whole literature in the cart. And we know how this pastime happened, that it got lost, but they again recovered it by the help of the local authorities there. Is that Vishnupur, or where that happened? Vishnupur, right? Modern day Bengal, we can even visit that place now. So anyways, so he definitely is one of, and he also organized the first Gaur Purnima. Back in the days after Mahaprabhu and Panchtattva all disappeared, he organized the first Gaur Purnima festival in Kheturi Gram. And it was so ecstatic that when the devotees were singing, including Narottam Das Thakur, I think Mother Janva was also there, that the devotees were singing with so much love and devotion, and in separation, feeling of separation of Lord Gauranga and his associates. It is said that they appeared one more time, fully manifested right in front of them. This is the nature of the Supreme Lord. When being called by love and devotion, He Himself appears. And of course, it is not manifest to everybody. Who has that qualification can see, because they have developed that prema, love for the Lord, and through that they can actually get the vision. So that was one of his, we can say, first organizers of Gaur Purnima festival. And towards his end of his pastime is also very interesting. So when, great personalities, they know they are going to disappear. So on that day, he requested his devotees or his disciples to, that he wants to go to Ganges and he wants to take bath. And so he kind of entered into the water, and then his disciples started pouring water on him, singing, chanting, and started pouring water on him, Ganges water. And in that process, his whole body started to transform into milk. And that is how he disappeared, which actually shows that his body was not just normal body like us, very exalted personality. And hence, and this is, he is not manifesting this to show that he's like a mystic yogi or something. This is his expression of his prema for the Lord, that his whole body melted in the love of Lord Gauranga and Radha and Krishna. And there he disappeared. But even though he disappeared, his instructions are still with us. And if we follow those instructions very attentively with full faith, then we get the same benefit if we were to be in his personal association. So that's the benefit of following the Siksha. So I think we'll switch over to Bhagavatam. Prabhu, can I get the Bhagavatam copy? Sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevāya. Namo Viṣṇu Padāya Krishna Prishthāya Bhūtale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Shri Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So we're looking at Canto 4, Chapter 1, Text 21 and 22. These two texts go together. So we'll chant text 21 and then I'll read the translation for 22. Tapyamānaṁ tri-bhuvanam. Tapyamānaṁ tri-bhuvanam. prāṇāyāmaidhasāgninā. prāṇāyāmaidhasāgninā. nirgatena muner mūrdhnaḥ. nirgatena muner mūrdhnaḥ. samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ. samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ. tapyamānaṁ tri-bhuvanam. prāṇāyāmaidhasāgninā. nirgatena muner mūrdhnaḥ. samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ. prāṇāyāmaidhasāgninā nirgatena muner mūrdhnaḥ samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ tapyamānaṁ tri-bhuvanam prāṇāyāmaidhasāgninā nirgatena muner mūrdhnaḥ samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ tapyamānaṁ tri-bhuvanam prāṇāyāmaidhasā samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ tapyamānaṁ tri-bhuvanam samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ. Vaishnavis. Tapyamānaṁ tri-bhuvanam prāṇāyāmaidhasāgninā nirgatena muner mūrdhnaḥ samīkṣya prabhavas trayaḥ. Tapyamānaṁ, while practicing austerities. Tri-bhuvanam, the three worlds. Prāṇāyāma, practice by breathing exercise. Edhasā, fuel. Agninā, by the fire. Nirgatena, issuing out. Muneḥ, of the great sage. Mūrdhnaḥ, of the top of the head. Samīkṣya, looking over. Prabhavaḥ, trayaḥ, the three demigods. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. While Atri Muni was engaged in these severe austerities, a blazing fire came out of his head by virtue of his breathing exercise, and that fire was seen by the three principal deities of the three worlds. Purport. According to Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmī, the fire of prāṇāyāma is mental satisfaction. That fire was perceived by the Supersoul Viṣṇu, and thereby Lord Brahmā and Śiva also perceived it. Atri Muni, by his breathing exercise, concentrated on the Supersoul or the Lord of the universe. As confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā, the Lord of the universe is Vāsudeva, Vāsudeva sarvamiti. And by the direction of Vāsudeva, Lord Brahmā and Lord Śiva work. Therefore, on the direction of Vāsudeva, both Lord Brahmā and Lord Śiva perceived the severe penance adopted by Atri Muni, and thus they were pleased to come down as stated in the next verse. Verse 22, translation. At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and the Nagas. Thus they entered the ashrama of the great sage who had become famous by his austerities. It is advised in the Vedic literatures that one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the universe and the Master of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. He is known as the Supersoul, and when one worships the Supersoul, all other deities such as Brahmā and Śiva appear with Lord Viṣṇu because they are directed by the Supersoul. So these set of verses describe the severe austerities Atri Muni undertook as a practice to please the great Lord Brahmā, Lord Viṣṇu and Lord Maheśvara. Lord Maheśvara is Lord Śiva. And I think he stood there for 100 years is what the verse 19 is saying, that he stood there in one leg for 100 years and doing pranayama, like a breathing exercise. And so this is a very extreme austerity which this sage had to undergo, because he had a desire, and the desire was to have sons like them, as good as Lord Brahmā, Viṣṇu and Maheśvara. So we see that he is performing this austerity to please them. Of course, austerities are performed at different levels. One can do austerity to perform demigods, like Surya Dev to sun god, or moon, and maybe Ganesh, maybe other demigods. In fact, I think a few days back there was a festival called Karwa Chauth. I don't know if you know that. Karwa Chauth is where it's a fourth day. Chauth is fourth day after Ekadashi and falls on this time. And the married women, they will fast the entire day from morning till evening. No drinking, no eating, no water, nothing, like nirjal. And why they do that? They're doing this austerity to please the demigod, to give a longer life to their husband. Because they have a desire, good, at least. So Vedic scriptures prescribe austerities, because once you do austerity, you're doing for somebody. Why you do that? Because you want to please them, and by pleasing them you get the blessings. But why austerity? You can do something else. One of the reasons austerity is prescribed is we restrain our senses, we regulate our senses. And that's what Krishna also tells in Bhagavad-gītā many places, that restraining senses is the starting point to actually, we can say, transform from material life to spiritual life. Even Rupa Goswami, he starts his nectar of instruction, Upadeshamrita, by restraining of senses. Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam jiva vegam mudarapasta vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvam api mam prithvim sasishyat. He talks about controlling the urges of the senses, vacho vegam, controlling the vacho, talk, manasa krodha vegam, control your mind, jiva vegam, controlling your tongue, so on and so forth. Why do we do that? Because until the senses are in control, there is no way we can actually concentrate our mind. And until we concentrate on our mind into something, how are we going to achieve that goal? Even in this material world, is there any student here studying? There you go. When your exams come, you concentrate your mind because you want to focus on that, on the goal, and your goal is to get a degree, right? And similarly, in any of the process, let it be karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, unless senses are controlled or restrained, there is no way we can make progress. Of course, one can say this is not devotional, this is not spiritual, this is still material, because we are dealing with material senses. Yes, it is material senses, but unless we are going to get control on that, there is no question of stepping into spirituality. And that's why in all these scriptures, Bhagavatam here talking about doing austerity, no eating, no drinking. Why? Because they want to leave all that and concentrate their mind on the process, sadhana. And that's why he pleased, in this case, Atri Muni, because of his austerity. He could please the demigods, Brahmā, Śiva, and they got pleased. And in the next verses you will see he will also get blessed by them. So of course this is described in all the Dharma Shastras, that restraining of senses is there to achieve your goal, because it helps you mold, it helps you dovetail your activities towards the goal. If you look at Varnashram Dharma, Dharma is all about putting rules and regulations. So in Varnashram Dharma you can see that Brahmana has to follow the most rules and regulations in his daily life. He has to do Pancha Mahayagya, he has to do Tarpanam, he has to do maybe Sandhya Vandanam, so many things they have to do. He has most rules. And then the rules becomes lenient as you go down from Brahmana to Kshatriya to Vaishya and Shudra. Shudra is more liberal, the most liberal there in the whole society. One can ask, why the rules only for the man, human? Why there are no rules for animals? They can do whatever they want. Why the rules are put only for men? So some may say, okay, fine, I don't want to follow the rules. I will be like animal. I don't want to follow any rules. Well, if you don't follow the rules, that's what happens. You actually become an animal in that life and the next life. So if we actually have to progress in life, rules is there to regulate the senses and regulate our activities. Because if you look at animals, they use their senses for survival. They will eat for how much they want to survive. If you look at, if you go to the forest or even here around, you won't see a obese cheetah or something. They are always very, fit. That's why, because they for survival they have to run, they have to catch, and it's difficult. So you won't see overindulgence of senses by animals. On the contrary, man, who's actually more intelligent, somehow or the other, he overindulges. Not just use his senses for survival, but most of the times they overindulge their senses in eating and so on and so forth. And that's why the rules are there, because the human has intelligence. With his intelligence, he can actually use it either way, productively or unproductively. And if he starts to use unproductively in the way that he overindulges, then he is calling for his own, we can say, destruction, and also for society. Because of the overindulgence, or to satisfy their senses, it becomes a lust, and then they can do anything for that. So in that way, rules are there in society to control the senses. So if even we look at the case of Hiranyakashipu, he did austerity for 50,000 years. He actually became like, he was standing on one leg, I think in Mandara hill. He was also standing on one leg, or he was not? Both legs, or he was, submerged, okay. On the tip of the toes. Okay, thank you. But he did that for 50,000 years. Why? Because he wanted to please Lord Brahma. Because he wanted that benediction. So we see that in some cases people actually end up doing those austerity because they also have wicked mind. Their goals are not very noble or good cause, we can say. So anyways, so we see that these rules and regulations are there for the human to control their senses so that they can actually progress in the right path. And this is the right chapter which says, the daughters of Manu, and this whole, we can say this canto is about Manu, and it goes on. This is a Visarga topic of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam has 10 topics. This is the Visarga, the secondary creation, and Brahma's creation will somewhere be described. I think it was in 3rd canto, but here the Manvantaras, it is describing about the Manvantaras in this canto. So we see that that the Manus are there to institutionalize these dharmas in the society, because these kings, like example Parikshit Maharaj, the topmost king, he was there to make sure that these dharmas are institutionalized in the society for the welfare of everybody. And this whole descendants of Manu, Swayambhuva Manu described here, and this whole we can say succession of Manu, they are empowered devotees or empowered associates. Of course, one can say they come from Brahma, but they are empowered to ensure that these dharmas are institutionalized or the dharma is established in the society. And that's why in one day of Brahma you will have 14 Manvantara cycles, and thereby you will have 7 Manus coming in one day of Brahma. So it keeps on going, Manus keeps on coming, they appear, and then in the next appears and all that. But the problem is in this age is there is no descendant of Manu right now. It is described in the 9th canto that the descendants of Manu actually disappeared, and they are hiding in the caves in Himalayas, because when they saw the very horrible situation which is coming up in this age, they gave up their duty of being the Manu or the leader of the mankind to establish the dharma. They gave up and they went back. They said, we cannot govern anymore, and they are hiding somewhere in the Himalayas. So we see that following dharma is good, but in this age it is extremely difficult. And the age is like, and if you see the first canto where there's a description of how the personality of Kali, he actually breaks the 3 legs of the bull, which is actually dharma. So literally the bull is standing in one leg, which means 3/4 of dharma is not there right now in this world. Parikshit tried to save, and as long as Parikshit Maharaj was there, Kali Purusha or the effect of Kali could not take effect. But Kali said, I have to come, I have to reside somewhere. So he gave him specific places. You can stay in a brothel or where the gold is stored, and few other places. So, but after the disappearance of Parikshit Maharaj and the next descendants of Manu and the kings, slowly the Kali Yuga has taken over completely until the most exalted and the most merciful Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu appeared, and they started Yuga Dharma, Nama Sankirtan, because he because he is all omniscient. He knows that this is the only method which is going to save. The method of austerity and standing in one leg doing pranayama is not going to be the solution for the problems of this age. And that's why we see that this process of Nam Sankirtan is actually glorified in all the scriptures. To the extent that this Nam Sankirtan, just by chanting the name of the Lord, Supreme Lord, we actually saw that in the previous canto, the last chapter, where Devahuti is again the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, and Kapila Dev appears as his own son, and Kapila Dev gives all the teachings to Devahuti, and there towards the end, to conclude that third canto, Devahuti is glorifying how your supremely merciful nature manifests through your nama, through the holy name. And she says that even if somebody is, by chance, they hear about the Supreme Lord, or they take darshan, or even if they begin to chant the holy name in the tip of the tongue, they actually surpass all these grades of varna and ashram, and surpasses and goes beyond this and takes the highest position of Arya, or he surpasses all these qualifications of Brahmana, Kshatriya and all those positions. Why? Because he is now starting to chant the holy name of the Lord. And that actually concludes that the holy name of the Lord is going to be the best process, or the process to achieve our goal, to achieve the ultimate goal. Of course, one can say the goal is dharma, artha and kama and moksha. Well, that is the goal. But Mahaprabhu said there is a fifth purushartha, the highest goal, and that goal is Krishna Prema. And that does not come from any of these things independently, by austerity, by charity, or by any of those processes of studying the philosophy and all that. There are so many things to be said. I also have, the time, I'm keeping an eye on the time. It's almost time. So this holy name of the Lord is so powerful that somebody who is even chanting unknowingly, accidentally, can give them the highest position, which is very difficult for these people to actually attain in 100 years. And what they are attaining in 100 years is not even spiritual. It is still kind of material. But the holy name is so merciful that just by chanting accidentally on the tip of the tongue, one surpasses all these levels and gets the highest benefit. Then what to talk of those devotees who actually chant with love and devotion? That is unimaginable. And that goal cannot be achieved by people who have, we can say, mixed devotion, or performing karma or karma yoga or jnana yoga. They cannot achieve prema, Krishna prema, which can only be achieved only by pure bhakti. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulena krishnanushilanam bhakti uttama. This is uttama bhakti definition given by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion, that it has to be devoid of all the desires of material desires, of course, but desires which will actually cover the actual goal. Anukulyana Krishnanu Shrilanam. So Anukulyana, it has to be a favorable attitude toward the Supreme Lord. And what is that favorable attitude? The attitude is to please the Supreme Lord. one can say this pastime of Damodar Leela, is this pleasing? Because Krishna is being tied by Mother Yashoda. He is crying. He's literally crying. His eyes are like in terrorized. Sarthanka netram. His eyes are terrified. Right? But is he pleased? Because he is crying. He is pleased, but it does not look like he is pleased. Right? But if you look at Mother Yashoda's intent, she is binding Krishna, but that binding is actually to please him. People who do not have that, we can say anukulyana, favorable attitude, they may see that, how is somebody who is getting bound by a rope and then crying, how is that pleasing to him? But on the other hand, when Narasimhadev appeared, and Hiranyakashipu was there, was that pleasing to the Supreme Lord? Because he tore him apart, he sat him on his, Narasimhadev sat on his throne. He was so furious that Hiranyakashipu was tormenting his devotee. So Hiranyakashipu had this intent of fighting with the Supreme Lord. So that attitude is not favorable to please him. But here, the Mother Yashoda is actually tying him, but tying him with the bound of love. So what anukulyana means, what is the actual intent of the devotee? The intent is actually to please the Supreme Lord. That is anukulyana. So with that favorable attitude, if one develops anushilanam, develop a favorable relation to the Supreme Lord, that actually benefits, and that is the highest process. And that highest process is easily obtained by pure chanting, Suddhanam. And that chanting is what was introduced by Mahaprabhu as chanting of Krishna's holy name. In fact, it is not just Krishna. We are chanting Radha and Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare means Radhe and Krishna means Krishna. Of course, Rama here also means Krishna, because Rama is a supreme pleasure giver to Radha. So, anyways, I want to conclude here looking at the time. Today is very auspicious day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, prime acharyas, one of the foremost acharyas of Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we should beg his mercy, his blessings, so that we can progress in this path of Krishna consciousness as explained and enunciated by our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada in his association and in his, we can say, instruction as given by him in the pages and his purports of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā and many other scriptures. And thereby we can attain the ultimate goal of Krishna Prema. Hare Krishna. I welcome any reflections, comments, questions. जय कंतराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल।